support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
The issue of the 25th Amendment has come up a lot. As I said, Vice President Mike Pence, according to his advisors, has said he is not going to move forward with that. So what exactly is the 25th Amendment and what could its impact be? Joining us right now is constitutional law expert Dr. Chris Metzler. Chris, first and foremost, you are conservative, you're a Republican, you've seen all of this madness, that what took place on yesterday. Surely you have to be embarrassed to watch these Republicans even still vote to not accept the electors of Pennsylvania and Arizona after what took place yesterday. And it just makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense. And in fact, it was shameful. It was not, in my view, unexpected, though. But as we look at the Republicans who, well, let's start with the president. The president clearly has blood on his hands because there was no reason whatsoever to call people to Washington on the 6th of January. He knew the reason that he was calling them there. He knew what they were going to do. So, in fact, he's aided and abetted that. That's number one. And after everything that happened, those members, those Republicans, both in the House and the Senate, who still raised those objections, I guess they think, oh, well, I'm going to get reelected. I don't need black folks, young folks, et cetera, voting for me. So whatever. And let me go specifically to Josh Hawley. First of all, as it relates to Josh, I hope everyone knows that he's raised a significant amount of money over his objections. And we should also know that he plans to run for office in 2024. Naked ambition. So it is what it is. And the folks who did what they did yesterday, that's not the Republican Party I know. But apparently, from my perspective, there is no Republican Party. It is a loose collection of factions. That's pretty much what you got.
For folks who don't, when these constitutional issues come up, people who don't really understand, most people haven't even read the Constitution. When you watch some of these movies, they give you the impression that all the cabinet officers have to sign a letter invoking the 25th Amendment. Is that true or not?
No, they don't all have to sign. What has to happen is the vice president gets a majority of them to say, we want to do that. Here's the problem with the 25th Amendment. It's probably, and particularly Section 4, the worst written part of the Constitution, which is why it's rarely ever used or invoked. Here's the problem. All that will happen is that, in fact, the vice president would say, and that certain portion of the cabinet would say, the president is incapacitated. Okay, but here's what happens after that. The president then can write a response and say, no, I'm not. And at that point, Congress has 21 days to resolve that. So in this particular case, it will go nowhere relative to the 25th Amendment. And keep in mind, the president can ban anyone from the White House. So it's not like they can trot up there and give him this and say, get out. That's not how this works.
So when you say incapacitated, that means that, so if he says, I'm not, now they actually have to prove it. Now there has to be some process. So in essence, some evidentiary hearing to determine that.
Yeah. And that will take place in 21 days. So as a practical matter, by that time, he'd already be out of office. Now, the worst case scenario that can happen is you can have dueling presidents. So, for example, Pence can say, yes, I determined that you're incapacitated, and so I'm acting as president. Then Trump says, no, I'm not. I'm still president. So it's, the 25th Amendment really isn't explained as much as it should be explained so that folks understand it's not as easy as it sounds.
So, and for all the people who keep talking about it, again, you're talking about a very short period of time. So,
Yeah.
the quickest way to get rid of the president is really to impeach him in the House. I mean, they literally now even on that, do they have to have a certain time frame? So, for instance, can the House literally in one day impeach Trump? Can the Senate actually have a one day hearing and vote to convict or to acquit?
Yeah, they can do that. They can do that. There's no time period to do that. The problem is what will happen in this case is the obstructionists will obstruct that process. But technically, yes, they can do that. They can call everyone back and say, listen, we're going to do this in one day. This is the time. You're not leaving here until this is done in 24 hours. They can do that. As a practical matter, I don't think that's going to happen, but they could do it.
Dr. Chris Metzler, we certainly appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Take care.
That's why I want to go to Erica here. Erica, this is why I love it. All of these media folks today have been, oh my God, Chuck Schumer's come out and saying, invoke the 25th Amendment, and it's going on and on and on, the next person, next person, next person. But it ain't that simple. This whole notion that the 25th Amendment is just like this magic bullet. Yeah, if he simply says, I'm not incapacitated, based upon what? Are you telling me I have dementia? I have Alzheimer's? That I'm sick? No, I'm not. I'm in great health. All right, now what do you do? And so, look, the real deal is, to me, push for impeachment and conviction.
Yep. Yeah. And,
which means that if he gets convicted, he can't run for president again.
Exactly. And I'm glad you're repeating that, because that just needs to be repeated over and over. So it really does marinate into the frontal lobe of everyone's mind. That is what's going to have the most effect. Reese just laid it out for us a few moments ago, what this propaganda that we've seen that is now posted on Twitter is all about. It is about him continuing to be able to maintain the power that he has within the cult that he has created, right? And so when we look at what mainstream media has done with their participation in really forming the Frankenstein that they have before them, allowing him to call into shows, giving him carte blanche, explaining him away, doing the J.D. Vance, the hillbilly elegy profiles, breathless profiles over and over again over the folks that support him. Whatever the easiest fix is, whatever it is that they can get into the minds of the people that do consume these alphabetic letter shows, to really just kind of say, this is something that's being done and we believe that it can be done. But when you actually have to break it down, listen to it, have it explained to you, that it is not as easy as it sounds. And I do believe that some of these people also do know that. When that kind of gets into the public discourse, then now is what is it that can be done? What can be effective? What can be effective is exactly what you said, exactly what Dr. Carr said, and that is he said that he was on board with those articles of impeachment that are being drawn up and to go ahead and to move that forward, because what that will do is really damage what he's looking to do, and that is to run again. This is a person who does not see anything wrong with who he is and what he's done, and that he has blatantly ignored the 360,000 souls that are no longer here as a result of a pandemic that is out of control because he showed no leadership, and we still don't have a national strategy. So again, thank goodness for Roland Martin Unfiltered, for people who are smart and that are able to share and roll this out for us. But I think that what this is also going to do just in these last waning days, people just ready for this to be over with. So hopefully, if members are able to draw up those, articles of impeachment and get it done, great. But, to be honest, I think what a lot of people are feeling is, number one, because of what we saw yesterday, we do understand, white privilege is definitely something that's threaded into the American soil. We don't see that there'll be any accountability. And then secondly, that people are really wanting for his presidency to be over with so we can just move into really getting a handle on all of these other things that are mounted against us now.
But it's not going away, Reese. It's not going away at all. Donald Trump it will still be there, and these idiots will follow every single thing that he asked them to do.
Yeah, and I think that, he's there to remind the public about how the Republican Party is the biggest threat to the national security and the well-being of this country. Because if you don't have a Trump, then you have a Josh Hawley, you have a Paul Ryan, you have a charismatic, thin, younger white man who, wears nice tailored suits and, is well-spoken and maybe even a little soft-spoken. And so, I love how Dr. Carr has always said, smile at Mike Pence, and he likes for people to show their cards. And I think that's what we have with Trump. Trump is dangerous, so I'm not trying to diminish that. We don't know what the hell he's going to do. He's starting shit with Iran a couple days ago. That's already fallen off everybody's radar. So he's dangerous, and he is a threat. But does the Republican Party get that? Do they have the balls to go against him? You still had 7 people vote against certifying the election in the Senate, and over 100 people in the House. So Donald Trump still has the Republican Party by the balls. To some degree, that could be helpful to the Democrats because he's an egomaniac, and once he's out of office, we have to be worried about him selling state secrets, and things like that. But in terms of the political warfare that he's going to wage on his own party, that's going to be their problem to deal with. So, I don't think that we're going to see any progress on this impeachment. That part is theater. The 25th Amendment stuff is theater. It's these folks trying to rehabilitate their images. Elaine Chao jumping ship, a couple other people jumping ship. It's just all about trying to misdirect the blame away from the people who have been complicit in this administration. But the last thing I will say, though, what I would like to see happen is for the Congress to come back into session to get these Biden-Harris appointees. Because from what I understand, and if I can recall correctly, they're not scheduled to come back until the 19th. That's the day before the inauguration. So there's no chance in hell that we're going to have any appointees confirmed on January 20th. So unless Biden comes in and immediately asks for the resignations of all these people, of all these Trump appointees, they're going to be behind the 8 ball. So listen, if you can get impeachment done, which I doubt, fine, but get back to the business of preparing for the incoming administration. Make sure that Warnock and Ossoff are seated, that Chuck Schumer is the leader, and that we can move on and start getting the Biden-Harris administration situated to address these demands very quickly, because we do not have any more time to spare in the middle of a pandemic.
That's right.
Greg, very simple, and that is this here. What we are looking at, we talk about this all the time. That clip I played from ABC, that was 5 years ago. And part of the problem is that we got this milquetoast ass commentary, even from a lot of black people on mainstream media, because they don't want to speak about whiteness. They don't want to speak about white supremacy and the threat that we're dealing with. The FBI has already said that white domestic terrorism is the greatest threat to the United States. It's these people here we're talking about. And so all of this, hey, let's just turn the page, reconciliation. No, I am unwilling to reconcile with white supremacy. I am not trying to go along and get along. I don't care about Mitt Romney's speech last night. Why? Because Mitt Romney wanted to be Trump's Secretary of State. I don't care about Senator Lindsey Graham saying that he has now accepted the election when he tried to get the votes overturned in Georgia, when he has kissed Trump's ass at every point over the past 4 years. I don't care that Mitch McConnell gave a statesman-like speech. No, I'm not trying to love these people. I've listened to some black commentators on other networks talk about, how we need to embrace the moment and this is a moment of healing. Bullshit.
These
Right.
folks do not want to heal. These
No.
people want to kill, steal, and destroy.
And destroy.
They do not
That's right.
want to see black people voting. They do not want to see black or Latino folks voting. They want us to go back to where we have slavery without shackles. They do not want to share power. They do not want us to have any control whatsoever. They can't stay. Is how they derisively use woke, how they attack us. We're going to talk about that with our next guest after your comment, Greg. This brother was attacked for wearing a dashiki in a courtroom, and he's a damn lawyer. If you saw these folks allow these racist terrorists to come into the U.S. Capitol. No, black folks do not fall for the okie doke. These people are not our friends. They're not our allies. We cannot work with them. Once you show me you choose to work with evil, I am going to take you at your word. Damn, working with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. You're right, Roland. And this is why this show, this space, now I just want to echo what Reese has said and what Eric has said. This is the gold standard of conversation right now in media across platforms. Because what we've heard tonight has been a very nuanced, very well thought out discussion of where we are and what the possibilities are. When Chris Metzler says that the Republican Party is basically a bunch of factions, that was a very important statement. And what Reese has said is right, and Erica has said it as well. There's probably very little, if in no possibility of doing 25th Amendment or impeachment. However, you know, this might be an inflection point in American history. They take decades, centuries even to build. But what can you do in this small window before, as you say, the attention span is gone? Simply put, you know, the Justice Department, forget Merrick Garland, look at Kristen Clark and look at Vanita Gupta and look at his deputies and say, you know what? There needs to be a criminal investigation of Trump. That'll keep Trump tied up. Don't put all this off on Letitia James or Carl Racine and them. Rebuild the Civil Rights Division. Go to the FBI. Reform them thoroughly, because the FBI ain't nobody's friend. Let's be clear. Domestic terrorism, all this stuff. Do that now. Set that aside. I thought, interestingly enough, at that rally yesterday, that Trump almost sounded jubilant and relieved. It may be that he doesn't want to run in 2024. But that he wants to retain that power because he ain't nothing but a carnival barker. But as long as he is in the field of play, he freezes the Harleys. He freezes the Cottons in them because they've got to maintain that white nationalist attitude. And that might just be the thing to allow him to do, be under investigation, do this kind of thing. By the way, Roland, where's our man Vernon Jones? Because I saw him out there. He joined the Republican Party on the platform.
Yeah, his punk ass was there. He said he's joining the Republican Party. And I've been in Georgia 5 weeks. Let me just be as clear as possible. I'm trying not to cuss. Some of y'all say I cuss too much. But let me just go ahead and say this. Bitch-ass Vernon Jones hasn't shown up to anywhere I've been in Georgia for the past 5 weeks. And so, yeah, I know my mama and daddy probably ain't gonna like it, but I'm gonna say it again. Bitch-ass Vernon Jones hasn't shown up anywhere. And guess what? Angela Stanton, your trifling ass ain't said nothing. Bruce Lavelle, your trifling ass ain't saying nothing. Alveda King, I want to know, where are you with your Christian talk about what happened yesterday? All y'all punk ass black MAGA people who are running around saying who y'all voted for him. Yeah, Malik Abdul. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about Paris Denard. All y'all. Y'all all supported a racist, sexist, thieving, lying SOB who will unleash hate on this country, and y'all wanted 4 more years of that trash. That's why I don't want to hear a damn thing from nobody who is a part of the 74 million. To me, there are 2 lines, the 74 or the 81. Which one of those were you in? Now, if you didn't vote, yeah, it should have been with the 81, but fine, I ain't gonna dog you too much, but I will still cuss you out. But if you part of the 74 million who voted for Trump, y'all can go to hell, because y'all wanted 4 more years of this evil.
Back to that Roland Unfiltered video.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.